We will not bow down. Let my people go. We will not bow down. Let my people go. We will not bow down.
Well, hello and welcome to episode 99 of the Croydon Constitutionalist podcast, bringing classical liberalism to South London and beyond via our YouTube channel and wherever you get your podcasts. My name is Dan Heaton and my partner in podcasting today is Mike Swaddling, the co-founder of the Croydon Constitutionalists. Mike, how you doing?
Yeah, good, Dan. The weather's sort of brightening up again, having had a few bad days, and that's all well with the world. It's just a shame we're about to head out of the summer.
Indeed, but the football's back and Palace aren't doing too bad as we speak.
I'm soon to be booking some European vacations.
Very good, very good. Well, we're delighted to be joined today by the recently elected Reform UK Councillor for the Bromley Common and Holwood ward in the neighbouring borough of Bromley, Alan Cook. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for the invite, and very happy to be here, guys.
So, Mike, we've got some questions for Councillor Cook.
Indeed. So, firstly, let me give our congratulations on becoming a councillor in Bromley, as Dan's mentioned. You're Reform's first elected councillor in London. How have you found being the centre of all the attention?
Right. Well, you're starting with a light question. That's good. Well, you probably know that I've actually stood before, so 2 general elections and once on the London Assembly.
I think we've interviewed you for them as well.
Yeah, I'm still quite used to losing, and so this time we actually won, which was positive. But I've been on media before, probably coming up to 50 appearances on GB News. I've co-hosted on Talk TV and done TNT Radio. More recently, Unprecedented TV with Lembic Opic, the new streaming channel. So nothing really in that respect has changed, but it's just good to win, really. So no, I haven't suddenly grown a huge head and have difficulty fitting through doors, although the missus may actually counter that.
Yes, absolutely. So, okay, you are now there, and you got the election win for the first time. Beyond national trends for reform, and obviously that's a massive factor in this. What do you think locally actually helped you get over the line and get that win?
Well, definitely charm, good looks, all the usual sort of stuff. No, I think hope is probably what it is. And you say discount the national trends, but you can't. People on the doorstep, and we did a lot of canvassing, and on the doorstep, people were just pretty much talking about national issues. It's when we phoned them up in the ward and started questioning them what their issues and problems were, then we actually started getting problems on, the speeding, the parking, the littering, people not feeling safe at night on public transport, the endemic shoplifting. So that's how we really got hold of information, which proved very useful for us, actually, because we were a little bit disorganized and probably a bit slower than the other parties getting our first leaflet out. But actually that worked in our favor, because then we saw how they were actually pitching their argument and how they were attacking us. We weren't attacking anyone. We led a very positive campaign. But the Tories were saying that we basically, well, as me personally, they said I have no experience of being a councillor. And actually on the doorstep, everyone saw that as a positive.
Positive, absolutely.
That really sort of backfired for them. The Lib Dems, all their leaflets were our colour blue and big pictures of Nigel Farage on them. So if you actually, picked it up and just put it straight into the recycling, you would have thought actually it was a reform leaflet. The Labour Party were saying Labour is the only party that can keep reform out of Bromley, and the Lib Dems were pretty much saying the same thing. So we had the other parties advertising us and telling everyone that reform are going to win. So they helped. So that was positive. We were the only party, I think, that had posters, because normally the Lib Dems have posters and you see the Corex boards outside the houses. And as I started driving around, but my car broke down, so I ended up doing the majority of the campaign on a push bike. But we were the only people that had posters. And there's a cracking chap, Turkish chap, on the A21, which is probably the busiest road in Bromley, who asked for some posters. So I delivered 6 posters to him, and he put them up on his front fence. So really good advertising for us. But unfortunately, the next morning, some chap came by and tore them all down. So he called us up. So I went back and gave him 8 posters, which he put up. But this time round, he was videoed removing the posters the next day, the same guy. So we put that on social media and we reported it to the police, and we've got well over 1 million views of this rather rotund guy ripping down these posters. So it's strange what people like to watch. But actually, I think that in the long run really actually helped our campaign. And after he took down the 8 posters, we gave the guy 25 posters, which he put all along the front of his fence. And also the crime report number we got from the Metropolitan Police. And after that, these posters stayed up for the duration of the campaign. So, yeah, thank you to that guy. We would never actually have dreamed of putting 25 posters up in that area if it wasn't for him.
It's interesting you say that. I remember for UKIP, now this is going back to, and Dan, feel free to correct me, it was either 2014 or 2015 in the locals or in the European elections, where the media went full on, and a lot of the parties went full on attacking UKIP at the time. And every time they done it, the vote share just bumped up another couple of points.
Well, we're the only party offering hope, because the Uni Party, which is all 4 of them, the Lib, Lab, Green, Com, they are basically global socialists, and we are the only UK-centric party who's outwardly saying we're going to put the electorate and the UK first, and no one else is doing that. So again, it's a bit of that crosses between national and local, because our Doge teams are going through the councils that we have actually won, the 12 councils that we're now in control of, and they are finding some real horrors. And I think we've got a 10 o'clock on the 1st of September, we're going to have another little press conference. So look out for that one. But, I've always said to people that, we actually do as we say. And there's an old adage about if you put a chicken in a box and then you put a tiger label on the box, what's in the box? It's still a chicken. Exactly. And so you have these other parties who are saying, the Labour Party started using the Union Jack a number of years ago on all of their sort of media and bits and bobs. And we just know that they're actually not a patriotic party. And things have changed. And Brexit changed it, actually, the English political landscape. Because before then, it used to be the left versus the right. And that changed over the Brexit vote, and it was the patriotic against the global socialist outlook. And so we had, in Brexit, I did stand for the Brexit Party, we had people, on the left voting for Brexit. And we're seeing that again now. The red wall is voting for reform. And so they're centre-left, and we've got the centre-right voting for us as well. So the battle in English politics is no longer left versus right. It's patriots against the global socialists. So it's a completely different landscape, which is probably why we're seeing the complete demise of the Tory party. They're down to win 10 or 20 seats if there was a general election tomorrow. And while we're, the last poll put us at 35%. So, these are huge numbers. And it's just a sea change in politics in this country. They say it's a 100-year shift, and I think that's literally what we're seeing now.
The seat you won was obviously I believe was a very conservative seat previously, and that part of Bromley generally, I think, is. Do you know where you got your vote from? Was it the Conservative voters coming across? Was it Labour voters and Conservatives coming across? Was it people staying at home? What sort of electorally do you think made up that difference?
Well, I think the staying at home bit is irrelevant because everyone's voter stays at home and high turnout, low turnout. I'm not sure that actually changes percentage on the votes. But we canvassed an area initially which is very strong for the Lib Dems. And so we thought actually that the Lib Dems were going to be our main competition because, the Tory vote really has across the country dropped, even in a very, very strong seat in Bromley, which has always been a Conservative area. And then we canvassed a different area and it was a strong Labour area. So we're thinking, no, Labour's going to be our main opposition. And then we canvassed a separate area again, which was reasonably good Conservative support there. But actually, what we're seeing on the doorstep were people were apologising to us for voting Conservative. They said, sorry, Alan, but we're not going to vote for you in the local because Bromley Council isn't too badly run, but you've got our vote for the general. And I heard that over and over and over again. So it's looking good for us when we do get a general election. But I think our vote, well, when I stood in Bromley and Biggin Hill last year in the general election, with a 6-week start, thanks to Rishi, I got just shy of 18% of the vote. And that's when we're polling about, 10, 12%. Now that we're polling, 35%, it's an absolute shoo-in for reform in Bromley and Orpington, Old Bexley, Sidcup, Dartford, Crayford, all of these areas which historically have been strong Tory seats are now ours, basically. Touch wood, things could change, but it's ours to lose, I should say. But where did our vote come from? I think it came from everyone. We even have Lib Dem people coming across to join our party as members, and that's why I mentioned the chicken in a box. They see these parties being sort of advertised as one thing, but once you actually open the box, you realise they're not what they are. The Green Party is supposed to be environmentalist, but actually, if you look at their policies, they're closer to communists. I always refer to them as the Red Greens because it's communism wrapped up in environmentalism.
Watermelons, as it's otherwise known.
Yes.
You mentioned a moment ago about Bromley being not too badly run. Certainly coming from Croydon, I think we would attest to what a badly run council looks like. And I've always thought Bromley seemed fairly well run. But now you're there, what do you think's working and what do you think needs to change in Bromley Council?
Well, I am very new, and it's going to take me a while to really formulate a proper opinion on that. I've been to one council meeting, which was the pensions meeting, so I can talk about that really, and everything else. Ask me again in 6 months, and I'll give you a much better answer. But we can improve things across the board because when you have councillors that have been there for decades, they get comfortable and they're not necessarily going to be pushing. So again, ask me on that one. But the pensions meeting, I found a little bit hypocritical, to be honest. It was. I'll pick on one point only. They were talking about the fact that they have to be. They've got a fiduciary duty to the pension fund, and everything they do and decide has to be in the interests of the pension fund. And they are being moved into a 32 borough London pension system. So all of the boroughs are pushing all their money into a one internal body, which actually hopefully will save money. It won't for us, but it'll probably improve things for some of the bankrupt boroughs in London. And what they are saying is you need to consider putting some of the money into local causes, which will actually still give you a return. And so everyone in the room was saying, well, yeah, that's fine, but we don't have to, and we're not going to get the return that we'll get from investing it elsewhere. So we're not going to do that because we have this fiduciary duty. So we will pretty much ignore that. And then we'll consider it, but if a good scheme comes forward, then they would. But let's wait and see on that. But then it came to discussing the investment bodies that we're using, and it's all about, are they meeting their net zero criteria? So all of a sudden, the fiduciary duty seems to have gone out the window, and it's more this net zero cult seems to override the fiduciary duty. And so that's something I will look into further. But certainly if Reform do, as it's looking likely, form the next government, all of a sudden oil and gas stocks will be worth an awful lot more. So I think if they're doing their job properly, I think now is the time to start ignoring net zero and actually do what's best for the pension fund.
And that's a really important point there. Either a pension fund is there to provide a pension for the workers, and I'm old enough to remember when the Labour Party would have made this argument. It's either there to provide a pension for the workers, or it's there for a pet project to provide good causes with funding in your area, or even in a wider thing. You could, in theory, choose to spend taxpayers' money. I wouldn't choose to do that, to have a pet project to provide money for good causes. But if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. But that absolutely isn't a pension fund.
Back a similar return, then I'm not against it. And I think they're not either. But I think the likelihood of finding such a local project that actually benefits the people locally. And I think there was argument about what is the definition of local, because it wasn't defined. So it's a good committee, actually, and they do scrutinise, but it's just the net zero cult, unfortunately, affected it.
You mentioned there, I guess that's, you find out a bit more of Bromley specifically, but obviously you've been at this for a while. Any thoughts on what more widely are the challenges facing local government in the UK?
Well, I can't see why we need party politics in local government. A pothole is a pothole. You don't need someone from the left or the right arguing the best way to fill it. You just fill it. So I think common sense needs to prevail, and we need to lose the party politics. I think all local government should be run as a business, and I just can't see why it's political at all, to be honest. But they do need to go back to providing just core services. They seem to have taken on a role which is greater than what they originally envisaged to do. It's something that winds me up. Collect the bins, make sure the street lights are working, make sure the police are doing what they ought to be doing, what they are at the moment, and the verges are cut. But now they sort of taken on a more of a social governance role, and they're trying to actually govern every aspect of our life. And I think we need to, as in the Quangos and most of government, we need a bit of a cull and to cut back to the core services, really.
No, thanks for that. Dan, over to you.
Thanks, Mike, and thanks, Alan, for those comments. I think everybody who lives in London can certainly say that if Sadiq Khan actually did his job, London will be a better place, but he would rather pontificate on other matters.
You want to talk about Sadiq Khan? There's something very interesting happening on the 3rd of September. Basically, there's a scaffolder who his drivers drove his lorries through the low emission zone, the LES zone, and they didn't know what a little blue sign with LES written on it actually meant. So the first thing that Noel Wilcox was aware of was when he got £11,000 worth of fines drop on his desk. So he thought, obviously, that this is wrong. You shouldn't be fined for driving past a sign with Les written on it. And it actually, it proved that he was right. He looked into the signage, and took it to an arbitration court, and basically they ruled in his favour. They said, yes, that the signage is unlawful. So then he asked for his money back for 2.5 years, and TfL refused. And so then he went to another court. This time it was a county court in Bedford. And the judge there agreed and said, yep, everything that you've paid up to April 2021, which is the date of the arbitration court case, needs to be repaid. This has much wider issues to it, because what he has done basically is open the floodgates to anyone that has paid a les fee or fine up until ask for their money back. And so what he's now doing is he's done a Part 8 claim, which is bringing the case up to today's date, so 3rd of September, actually, not today. And that he's also incorporating ULEZ, because that has the same systemic problems with the signage being unlawful. So quite possibly, les and ULEZ will actually end, and fees, fines and damages will have to be repaid by TfL. So I know we do seem to be in a bit of a two-tier judicial system at the moment, but TfL did not actually submit a defence. So it's looking like he could quite possibly have a summary judgment on the 3rd of September. And if so, it will literally be the end of les and ULEZ. And then how can a sitting mayor who's been behind the expansion of ULEZ, when he actually knew it was, unlawful, allegedly, I should say that, stay in position? So I'll be in the court on the 3rd. So it's going to be quite possibly a monumental day.
Very, very much so. Probably should say on this, we are recording this on the 31st of August. I'm not sure how quickly it will get out, but if you do hear this post the 3rd, honest, we predicted it, even if you didn't hear it here first.
Mm-hmm. Yes, okay. I wasn't quite sure when you were going to push it out. But,
Well, one lives in hope, eh? So thank you for that, Alan. Very interesting to hear about your early days as a councillor in Bromley. So, Mike, what have we had on our website recently, and what events have we got coming up?
Yeah, so a couple of stories or updates for myself. I had a recent holiday to Rwanda and Uganda. My thoughts on the country, a little bit of politics, a little bit of tourist recommendations. So, if you're interested in that part of Africa, have a read. Something very different for me, certainly. We've got an article by Darren Andrews about trial by jury. Obviously, it's been in the headlines recently, and the importance and how it's an essential safeguard for a free society. So interesting details there. And an article from Crispin Williams about why so many children have issues, really talking about the explosion in Sen. Again, something that's not making enough headlines, but really important, worth having a read of there. In terms of upcoming events, once you've read them, come and discuss them with us on the 3rd Wednesday of September. That's September the 17th. From 7 p.m, we'll be in the George in Croydon. Come on down and meet up and have a chat.
Look forward to seeing as many of you as possible on the 17th. Well, if you'd like to write for our website or have any stories you'd like us to cover, please do contact us. You can do so via the Twitter at Croydon Const, via our Facebook page, via our website, croydonconstitutionalist.uk, or via email, contact@croydonconstitutionalist.uk. Well, do please subscribe to the podcast and the YouTube channel. Do please like, share, and leave a review. It's always good to get feedback, and it helps others to find the podcast. Well, thank you once again to Councillor Alan for joining us. Thank you, Alan.
You're most welcome.
And thank you to everybody for listening. Until next time, it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from me.
Stay free, everybody.